Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break the 7-game NBA preseason slate on Thursday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports daily fantasy sports slates. Before we get into the video, guys, I want to thank you. Thank you so much. The support recently has been, it's been overwhelming. It has been absolutely insane with the videos, with the live streams. Again, we hit over 800 concurrent viewers once again, so thank you. I cannot say that enough. If you guys do enjoy this content, I would really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when to upload videos, you know when to go live. This is a 7-game slate. I'm going to aim for 45 minutes. I might even do 1 hour before lock since we have 7 games to talk about. Also, if you guys cannot watch these videos, I do upload an Apple Podcast. The link is in the description below, which is the DK DFS show. But with that out of the way, let's jump in the video. Before we talk about players and their prices, let's take a look back at my lineup from Wednesday. And Wednesday, again, if you guys are new, give me a minute or two to tilt hard, and then we will get into this breakdown. So let's go over my lineup. SGA, RJ Barrett, Okoro, Randall, Drummond, White, THT, and Ayton. So this is in the slam. My approach usually for entering high dollar tournaments is, if I think the chalk is good, I will play a good amount of the chalk, and then usually I try to get different in a couple ways. So, who are the chalk guys they played? Well, the core was RJ Barrett, it was Randall, it was Drummond, and SGA, who, this is one part, does not play in the second half. The Thunder, this is a new team. Right? Like a whole new roster. They're one of the youngest rosters in the league besides Horford. Horford was the guy that was worried about possibly resting the second half. Everyone else, like rookies, second year, third year in the league. So you would figure, hey, these guys are young. We want to give them action. They're the one team that rested the starters in the second half. Are you kidding me? That is, not happy. But, okay, so that's one part that was really, really pissing me off. Let's go over other parts of my lineup. So this is where I got different, right? These 3 guys at the bottom, again, with the top 5, I knew they're all going to be pretty popular. Again, SJ 40% owned. It's just so unfortunate he only played the first half. He was on pace to absolutely crush. Again, the chalk here with Barrett, Okoro, Randall, Drummond. Barrett was a little bit disappointing. I mean, he was fine, 26 fantasy points. Okoro, kind of the same thing. Randall was solid, didn't play as many, didn't play into the 30s. I think he only played 29 minutes. And Drummond was crushing, but still only played like 22, 23 minutes. Again, this is where I got different. So I played Kobe White. He absolutely smashed cover boy for the video. Got 40 fantasy points. Did not come back in the fourth. I thought maybe we would get one more shift out of Kobe White. And then, I took a shot in THT. And the reason, I kind of gave it was obviously AD, LeBron weren't going to play the second half. I figured THT is going to be, pretty low owned. I'm going to bank for him to play a majority of that second half and crush in that time. Now with DeAndre Ayton, he's got a nice start. He was also at low ownership, but 3 fouls in the first half. At 15% ownership, picks up 3 fouls. So you play Devin Booker, I apologize. I feel bad for you. 4 fouls in the first half. So yeah, that's basically it for the look back. That's the tilting out of the way. Last point, Mitchell Robinson. So mentioned that guy loves to foul. He was pretty popular in the slam. He was about 30% owned. Picked up 2 fouls right away. I was like, I was actually happy about it because I didn't have him obviously, and he was pretty popular. Comes back in the second half, picks up two quick fouls. They leave him in, picks up a 5th foul. They bring him out, but then bring him right back in like midway through the third, and he plays like the rest of the game somehow without fouling, and then he like crushes. And I'm just like, really? So, yeah, that's the tilting out of the way for this slate, guys. Again, the OKC stuff is just that is just so annoying. I can't believe it, to be honest. I really can't. But that's the way NBA DFS goes. Sometimes it can be tilting, again, especially preseason, right? But that's it. That's all I want to talk about. Again, I don't want to go on for like 10 minutes. It's just super frustrating day when stuff like that happens. But the good thing with DFS, and I always say this, is tomorrow's a new day. So really excited to attack this slate. We got 7 games. Let's start with Charlotte and Orlando. So on the Charlotte side, injury-wise, we have Gordon Hayward listed as questionable. He suffered a fracture on his pinky finger. So I don't know if he'll play in this one or not. Let's take a look at the minutes in their last game. So minutes weren't great, to be honest. Hayward played 24. PJ Washington was my favorite value for the Hornets at last game. He had a really solid day in 24 minutes. Devontae Graham-Rozier played 24, and no one else really played more than 20. So we'll see. Again, obviously things can change with the preseason, but at the moment, once again, I just don't have a ton of interest in this Hornets team. They played a lot of guys. Again, starters didn't play a ton of minutes, and even so, like, these starters aren't like, no one really stands out. I think my favorite play once again would be PJ Washington at 5.1K, just because they want to use him more at the small ball 5, which does boost his upside a little bit. He's the guy that can get you the blocks and steals. So he's probably the guy I'm looking to for Charlotte. With Graham, Rozier, you can give a look to them if Hayward's out. The rookie LaMelo Ball's been getting okay run at 4.8K. He played 20 minutes. Like, yeah, he's in play for value, but really there's no standout plays. So on the Charlotte side at the moment, I think the top 2 plays I'm looking to would probably be PJ Washington and LaMelo Ball for his price. Let's move on to Orlando. So Orlando, in their last preseason game, the starters got extended a bit. Bacon played 29 minutes. Aaron Gordon was the one guy that was limited. Again, he was limited in the first game too. Vucevic played 33 minutes. 31 for Fultz, 28 for Fournier, 29 for MCW, and 27 for Cole Anthony. But with these guys on the bench, we do have Terrence Ross looking like he's going to play. So that does take a hit to MCW and Cole Anthony's minutes, in my opinion. But yeah, for me, it's Vucevic. At 8K, I think that is underpriced, especially if he's going to get like mid-30s minutes in this matchup too. Whether it's Cody Zeller, whether it's Biyombo, whether it's PJ Washington, Vucevic should crush, especially if they're going to limit Gordon again. Vucevic at the moment, I really like him at 8K. And Gordon's a stay away just because they've been limiting his minutes. Things could change, but at the moment, I'm going to pass there with Aaron Gordon. Again, the reason I'm not as high in MCW and Cole Anthony is because Terrence Ross looked like he's going to play. He was a full participant in practice, so I think those minutes go down for those value guys with MCW, Cole Anthony. They're still in play. What do I expect minutes-wise? I would say low 20s minutes now for these guys. And again, MCW's a stat stuffer. Cole Anthony been a little up and down, but they're cheap. 4.7, 4.6, so I still think you can look to them, but with Terrence Ross playing, that is a slight downgrade. I'm not really looking to Fournier. The other guy I would look to is Fultz at 6K. Starting point guard, again, he played over 30 minutes, right? He played 31 minutes, shot the ball, at 21 points, 4 assists, 5 boards, 6K. That seems like a decent price. So my favorite play by far is Vooch on the Magic, but there are some other guys you can look to. I think Fultz in the mid-range is decent, and then I think you can still look to MCW, Cole Anthony for value at 4.7 and 4.6 respectively. Let's talk about Detroit. So in their last preseason game, not great. Again, starters minutes like low 20s. Blake Griffin played 23, Grant 20, Mason Plumlee 22, Killian Hayes 25. No one else over 20 minutes. And again, they played a lot of guys, basically everyone on the roster. So let's take a look at price points. Well, Rose and Griffin are a little underpriced. 5.9 and 5.3 for Rose and Griffin. We'll see. If we get news the starters minutes are going to go up, then I think these guys are actually pretty viable in a good matchup. With Rose and Griffin, who do I prefer? I'll take the discount on Blake Griffin at 5.3K against Washington. I mean, he played 23 minutes. Like, he can still get it done in like 23 minutes at 5.3. So I think Blake Griffin is viable either way, but would become a better play if the starters minutes do get extended. Again, Rose on the bench only played 17, but still, like, he's a high usage guy. So we'll see right now in the Detroit guys. Again, the prices are cheap, but we got to keep an eye on the minutes. Killian Hayes, a rookie at 4.7. He played 25 minutes. I mean, he's been okay, not amazing. I think he's in play for value because I think the minutes are pretty secure for him. The new additions of Plumlee and Grant, they've kind of been struggling. They are cheap, but I'm not super excited about either. And then below that, the only other guy I think I would consider is Jahlil Okafor at 4.1K. Reason being is he's a solid point per minute guy. He played 18 minutes that last game, so I think you can give a look to him for value. But all in all, Detroit is kind of like Charlotte, there's not a lot of standout plays. I think Rose, Griffin potentially dependent on news. I think Killian Hayes for value is in play. And then maybe got Jahlil Okafor off the bench because he's a high usage guy. Let's talk about Washington now. So Washington, we got news that Beal is going to play a few minutes, not a lot. And I assume that's going to be the same with Westbrook. Has a good chance to play, but I don't think they will play either of these guys a ton. So at the moment, I'm not really looking to Westbrook or Beal spend ups. There's no way I'm paying $7K for Davis Bertans. That is way, way too expensive. If we look at the minutes in the last game, weren't great, right? The rookie played 24 minutes in Avdija. Again, I probably I should learn how to pronounce his name. I'll just call him Denny. Rui played 23 minutes. Thomas Bryant played 22. Raul Neto played 25. Troy Brown Jr. played 22. I do like Troy Brown as a player, but at 6'4", am I going to prioritize him for low 20s minutes? Probably not. If he was in the mid to high 4K range, then I would have a lot more interest in Troy Brown. 6'4", though, Again, Thomas Bryant is a pretty productive guy when given time at 6'3". If we get 22, 23 minutes, I think he's okay. But again, still probably not going to prioritize him either. Ish, Rui, their status is up in the air. We'll see there. Raul Neto started at point guard, but with Westbrook, Beal playing a little bit, the minutes probably go down there. Avdija, or Denny, I should say, is at 4'3". Again, he got decent minutes. I think he's in play just because I would assume we probably get 20 to 25 minutes from him. Last guy I mentioned is Mo Wagner, a risky play off the bench, but he's a high usage guy, a good offensive player. He played 18 minutes at 13 and 7, so viable punt there. But yeah, all in all, Washington, kind of like Detroit, kind of like Charlotte. There's not a ton of plays I'm super excited to jam in. Let's move on to the Spurs. So Spurs in their last game, they said they wanted to give the younger guys more run. Well, they kind of did. LMA still played 24 minutes. Rosen only 19. Rudy Gay 21. Mentioned Lonnie and Vassell or Vassell. Again, I should learn how to pronounce that. It's Vassell or Vassell. I think it's Vassell actually. Either way, they were pretty solid. Vassell played 32 minutes. Lonnie Walker played 26. DeJounte Murray did play 25 too. With no Derek White, he does get a boost. So the prices actually look okay in some of these Spurs. Got to monitor the news though. Are they going to play this a dress rehearsal, or are they going to limit the veterans again? We'll see. So, with DeRozan, with Aldridge, even a guy like Rudy Gay, if the starters are getting extended a bit, they're viable. Again, I do like DeJounte Murray. He's the youngest of the bunch. I think he gets good run either way. Again, with no Derek White, this guy does possess upside though. 6'6" though, would have wished he was a little bit cheaper, but I think still viable. And then guys like Lonnie Walker, Vassell, if they're going to limit the starters again, then these are two guys that I do like for value. You can even give a look to Trey Lyles at 4'1". He's been getting good minutes off the bench. He played 28 minutes at last game. So those are the three guys, Vassell, Lonnie Walker, and Trey Lyles, that I would look to if the starters are once again going to be limited. Let's move on to Houston. So Houston, in their last game, starters got okay run. 22 for Eric Gordon, 21 for PJ Tucker, 21 for the Boogeyman, 25 for John Wall, and 21 for James Harden. We'll see. Harden's at 9-1 right now. If we only get 20 minutes out of Harden, I think I prefer some other studs who we'll get to. A guy like Luka Doncic, a guy like Trae Young, even Ja Morant. We have Steph Curry. So again, got to monitor the news. If we're going to get 25 to 30 minutes out of Harden, then I think he becomes a lot more viable. But if we only get 20 minutes out of him, I think I do prefer some other starters who have been getting more run. Wall's at 7'9". He's still a high usage guy even with Harden playing. And he had a nice day there in that last game. In 25 minutes, 15, 3 and 2. He had a couple blocks, a couple steals. The Boogeyman's at 6'5". He's a very high usage guy. Again, the minutes went up a bit on him. He played 21 minutes. He had 11, 7, 2. I think a couple blocks, a couple steals. So it's really the main guys for me for Houston. It's Harden, it's Wall, it's Boogie. We'll see on minutes. The minutes haven't been great for these guys. They've been better for some of the other starters who are more in the late games who we'll get to. So another situation we'll have to keep an eye on. As far as the bench guys or anyone else in this team, I don't have a ton of interest in Green. Gordon's at 5'3". I mean, he can get hot, but I'm not really looking there. Caboclo for value. He didn't play a ton that last game. He only played 14 minutes. Jason Tate did play 18 minutes, was solid, but yeah, he's a 4-1. You can give a look to him. So, but all in all, it's really the main guys for me. It would be Harden, Wall, Boogie, dependent on news. So we'll see what these Houston guys. On Atlanta, well, this is really good. If we look at their most recent games, starters got good run. Trae Young, 32. Herter, 32. Clint Capella, 27. John Collins, 29. Hunter, 30. So, and this is a good matchup, too, against Memphis. Like, this game should be played at a pretty fast pace. This is one of my favorite games to target. Trae Young at 8-5 at the moment is one of my favorite spin-ups just because of the minutes, right? NBA DFS is all about projecting minutes, especially in the preseason. So, like, if we're going to get 20 minutes out of Harden versus 32 minutes out of Trae Young, of course I'm going to go 32 minutes out of Trae Young, right? So, yeah, Trae Young in a matchup with the minutes, with the fact that he has insane upside, I really, really like him at 8.5K. We do have Clint Capella questionable. We have Herter questionable. We have Reddish questionable. We have Rondo questionable, or Rondo doubtful. So, there is some injuries already. Some guys out too, like Snell, Dunn. So we'll see. If Capella is out, I'm interested to see what they do with the starting lineup. I would guess they probably put Gallinari in the starting lineup and move John Collins to the 5. If that's the case and Collins plays the 5, then I like him even more. If Capella plays, John Collins is 7-4, I think is a fine play. But he would get a pretty big boost if Capella's out and he plays the 5. So we'll see what they end up doing. Gallinari at 5'9", I think is fine, but I would rather play Bogdanovich for $1,000 cheaper. Bogdanovich off the bench, I actually prefer him coming off the bench just because he's a guy that can kind of lead the second unit. He had 18, 2, and 2. So at 4.8K, I think that's too cheap. So I do like Bogdanovich quite a bit here at that price. Definitely one of my favorite value plays at the moment. And Capella himself at 5'5", again, if he plays, I like him. 5'5" is a little bit too cheap for him. If we look at the last game, he played 27 minutes. So if we're going to get like close to 30 minutes from Clint Capella at 5'5", yeah, sign me up. So there's a lot of plays I like here for Atlanta. It's Trae Young at the top. I think John Collins is fine if Capella plays. Gets a huge boost if Capella's out. Gallinari's okay, but I'd rather play Bogdanovich for cheap. I like him. Then Capella himself, if he does play, I like at 5'5". So, yeah, there's a lot to like here for Atlanta. Definitely one of my favorite teams to target at the moment. Let's move on to Memphis. So, Memphis in their most recent game, starters got an okay run. John Morant, 26, JV, 24. And Ja is cooking, man. At least in these first couple of preseason games, he had 17, 7, and 7, right where he left off in the bubble. He is playing phenomenal basketball. It's really the top two guys for me. It's Ja, it's JV. I do prefer Ja at a similar price. JV is still a high usage guy, but at the moment, Ja is just clicking on all cylinders. He's stuffing the stat sheet. The matchup's great here against Atlanta. Again, he played 26 minutes. If we get like 30-ish minutes out of Ja Morant, then I like him a good amount. So, yeah, Ja JV, but I do prefer Ja for a little bit more. Triple J out. I think Clark is questionable, so we'll see. Like if he's inserted into that lineup, doesn't do a ton. Maybe a slight downgrade to JV, but Dylan Brooks at 6'2", you can give a look to him. I think he had a pretty nice shooting day. Yeah, he had 21 real life points, but this guy just at times is very scoring dependent. So he does have a pretty low floor if his shot is not falling. 6'2", again, I think it's a fair price. I'm not saying he's out of play. The other options in this team, like, they have just like a bunch of guards that will play like 20 minutes. They have like Melton, like Konchar's been getting a decent run, Grayson Allen, Tyus Jones. One of those guys probably has a good game, but trying to figure out which one it is will be a little bit tricky. And Grayson Allen, I think, had a nice shooting day last time out. 13 and 5. Gorgie Jang off the bench. Normally, he's a decent point per minute guy, but he struggled. I think he only finished like 10 fantasy points in 20 minutes. 4-2, though, again, I think he's viable as well. So that's my thoughts. Or Jang would be more viable, I should say, if Clark is out. If Clark is in, I don't really want to look to Jang for value. So really, again, it's Ja at the top. I think JV definitely in play too. Brooks in the mid-range is fine. And then value, not a lot I'm super excited about. You can look to those guards, maybe Jang if Brandon Clark is out. Let's move on to the last couple games here. So Minnesota and Dallas. Minnesota in their last preseason game, well, starters got good run. Cat played 27. D'Angelo Russell played 24. Again, that's where the offense is run, is those two guys, or runs through. Malik Beasley kind of struggled, but his price is cheap on this slate. Anthony Edwards, the rookie, got 26 off the bench. But that's really it. That's all I'm looking to. So Cat at 8-2, I do kind of like. He got 27 minutes. I would assume the minutes probably go up, maybe around 30 for him. The matchup against Dallas is good, whether it be Dwight Powell or Willie Cauley-Stein or Kleber. Cat should be able to have his way. So I actually do like him a good amount here as a spend up. D'Angelo Russell, or did that just come out? Yeah, it just came out. Okay, I must have missed that. D'Angelo Russell won't play in Thursday's preseason game. So with Russell out, this actually does change some things now a good amount. So Russell is out. That makes Cat even more viable. Let's take a look at how the minutes were distributed here for Minnesota. So with D'Angelo Russell out, I think Beasley takes a big leap forward for usage. Rubio probably plays more minutes. So we'll see what they do with the starting lineup. They might insert Ricky Rubio 4-7. He would become a viable cheap play. Again, Malik Beasley at 4-5. That seems a little bit too cheap. I know he had a bad game last time out, but with D'Angelo Russell out of this game, there's actually a lot to like here now with that news. So yeah, Cat at the top I think looks really good. Rubio, Beasley for value with no D'Angelo Russell. Anthony Edwards, the rookie, I think is in play as well. So yeah, there's actually a decent amount to like here from Minnesota. It's probably those four guys. Let's move on to Dallas. So Dallas, we got news that it's going to kind of be like a dress rehearsal. That last game, Luka played 29, Jay Rich 29, DFS played 28, Tim Hardaway 27, and Powell 22. Let's just take a look at this quote. I have it up. Will Carlisle treat Thursday night as more of a dress rehearsal for the game that will count? He said, it's not going to be an exact replica of opening night. It will likely move a little more in that direction, but we'll see. So what that leads me to believe is it's not like Luka's probably not going to play his 36 to 38 minutes, but I think he probably plays 32-ish minutes. It is probably a fair guess, right? Because he played 29 that last game. I would assume he probably gets one shift in the fourth. So, 32, 33 minutes, I think is a pretty fair guess for Luka. And at 9K, again, with no Porzingis, he, at the moment, I think is my favorite spend up. Just because the upside is through the roof here with Luka. Again, such a high usage guy with Porzingis off the court. He could literally go, if he gets 33 minutes, he could go for 50 plus easily. So really like Luka at the top. Again, probably my favorite spend up at the moment. Again, we do kind of have news that starters are going to get good run too. The other options, like everyone, like Hardaway, Powell, DFS, not overly excited about it. The bench, no one really I'm looking to. The only other guy I'll mention here is Jay Rich at 5'7". He's actually been playing pretty well. In that last game, he shot the ball really well. He had 23 real-life points, 7 boards, 2 assists. He's a good defender. Like, he is a guy that is stepping it up here, at least in the first couple games here for Dallas. So I think he is in play at 5'7". Again, he's shooting guard, small forward eligible. Normally, that's like the weakest position. So it's Luka at the top, one of my favorite plays. I think Jay Rich in the mid-range looks decent. Below that, not a ton I like. Brunson, how many minutes did he play? Only 14. Yeah, Trey Burke put 17. Again, the bigs all kind of hurt each other, like Kleber, Powell, Boban, Willie Cauley-Stein. So I think it's Luka. I think it's Josh Richardson for me. Last game here, Golden State and Sacramento. So in that game, we had starters get decent run for, let's take a look at Golden State first. So Steph Curry, 28 minutes. That's pretty solid. Kevon Looney started at center, played 20 minutes, not bad. Toscano Anderson played 18, Wiggins 26, and Oubre 24. Marquise Chris off the bench played 19, had a really solid night for his price. Bazemore only 14. I was a little bit tilted about that. I played him the other day. Thought he would play, low 20s minutes. So that was a bit tilting, but Steph Curry's at 8-1. So I do like him. He got hot in that game against Sacramento. Again, he has that type of upside. Like, the offense runs through Steph, and when he gets hot behind the three-point line, he can put up an enormous stat line. It's just, there are a lot of good studs, right? Let's go over the top studs again. I think it's Vucevic at the moment. Vucevic, Trae Young. On the other side, Ja Morant, Luka, Towns, and we have Steph. So you're going to have to make some tough calls with these studs. You can probably only fit 2 to 3 into your lineup. But I definitely think like this is setting up for the stars and scrubs build guys, because I want to jam in those guys at the top that are going to play like 30 plus minutes and have a ton of upside. And then, I'll just find value. So That's where it's leaning to for sure for me is the stars and scrubs build. But yeah, back to Steph. Again, upside really, really high on him. 8.1K is a very fair price. So definitely looking to him. With Wiggins, with Oubre, again, they're in the mid-range. I'm not really looking to this range. Again, it's going to be more of the stars and scrubs build for me. No Draymond Green still. The guys that I'm looking to for value are Kevon Looney and Marquise Chris. Now, Marquise Chris is the higher usage guy. He's a better point per minute guy, but he's also 5'5" now. I think that's fine if you can get to him. Again, he's a better point per minute guy. He had a nice night that last game. He had 17, 9, and 2. But Looney is only 4'2". Again, not as good of an offensive player, but if we get 20-ish minutes out of Kevon Looney at basically min price, I think he can go out and get me like 15 fancy points, right? So, sure, again, didn't have a great stat line, 4, 5, and 2, but like I said, this is setting up for the stars and scrubs build, so I'm looking to some value here. Looney is one of those guys I'm considering. Again, Bazemore only played 14 minutes, so probably can't go there, even though it is a revenge game. Lastly, let's move on to Sacramento. So Sacramento stars have been getting a good run. Harrison Barnes, 26. Bagley, they said they were going to limit him. He only played 16 in his first game. Rashawn Holmes, 21. Fox, 24. Buddy Hield, 24. A couple of younger guys got some decent run. Kyle Guy had a nice day off the bench, 21 minutes. Halliburton got limited. They said they were going to. And then Whiteside, again, a high-usage guy, had almost a double-double in 15 minutes. So there's definitely some options here. With Fox and Hield, I think they're fine, but I'm not prioritizing them. Again, the studs I like, Vucevic, Trae Young, John Morant, Cat, Luka, Steph. Those are the studs I think can break the slate. Fox and Hield are priced pretty similar to those guys, and I just think they're a step down. Now, I'm not saying these guys can't have a good night in a pretty good match against Golden State. I prefer those other studs we just mentioned. Now, Whiteside, like I said, he's a really good point per minute guy, but 5'7", if you can get to him, I think that's solid. It's kind of the same thing I'll say about Marquise Chris. Holmes at 5'1", price came up a bit. I expect about 20 to 24 minutes, somewhere in that range. Again, he's a decent point per minute guy, so an energy guy, a guy who can get you the blocks and steals. I think he's a viable, cheaper play. Again, you can go to Whiteside too. They're priced pretty similar. Bjelica, I don't think so at 4'8". Now with the young guys like Kyle Guy and Halliburton, they said they're going to limit Halliburton, so Kyle Guy got more run. I would assume Halliburton probably gets more minutes in this one at 4'4". He's a potential value play. He had a nice night a couple nights ago. And then finally, Marvin Bagley at 4'1". That's just a misprice. Assuming he gets normal minutes, again, they limited him to 15 minutes because it was his first game. It's not injury related. Again, he had COVID. So I assume the minutes go up. But how much is the question? So, if Bagley's going to play 25 minutes, that's just a free square 4.1K. That's just too cheap for Marvin Bagley. In 16 minutes, he had 9 points, 4 boards. So, he's definitely someone I'm looking to for value. One of my favorite value plays, but got to monitor the news. If they're going to limit him to only 15 minutes again, then it's just all right. But if it goes 20, 25-ish, then he looks really, really good for value. But yeah, I think that's going to... Oh, we have one more game here. Sorry, that game was hiding. Utah and the Clippers. I should have this up. I thought that was the last game of the slate. That is just a mistake on my part. So give me 1 second here, guys. Either way, I already know I don't have a ton of interest in this game, but let's look at the Jazz in their most recent game. Well, I shouldn't say that. The starters actually got extended a bit here for the Jazz. Gobert played 28 minutes. Mike Conley, 27. Donovan Mitchell, 25. Bojan played 27. Clarkson played 23 off the bench. Let's take a look at their pricing for Utah. Mitchell's at 7'6". Gobert's 7'1". Conley's at 5'2". Clarkson off the bench at 4'7". So there's actually some decent plays here. Again, Clarkson, a high usage guy off the bench. I think we get probably low 20s minutes from him. That's viable. Bojan at 4'9". Again, kind of scoring dependent, but that's cheap. He got decent run. He played 27 minutes. So I take this back. The Jazz are actually in play here. Gobert at 7'1" and Mitchell at 7'6". Kind of the same thing I'll say about Fox and Hield, right? I just prefer those other studs that I just mentioned. And then lastly, let's go to the Clippers. They've really been spreading out the minutes that LA Clippers have. In that last game, no one played basically more than 20 minutes. So yeah, at the moment, it's a stay away for me for the Clippers. Things could change. But yeah, right now it's basically a full fade for me. with Kawhi, with Paul George at the top. Again, I prefer the other stars we went over. Ibaka seems priced about right. Zubac at 4-4 would probably be the guy I would look to, just because he's a guy that can score a good amount of fantasy points in a short amount of time. Like in 18 minutes, he had 6 and 1. Again, he can get some block shots too. Terrence Mann as well. Again, a high energy guy off the bench, can fill up the stat sheet. So yeah, those would probably be the two guys I'd look to for value. Even Kennard is a decent shooter. So we'll see what they do. If these guys get extended a bit more, then they become a little bit more viable. But at the moment, the Clippers are a team I don't have a ton of interest in. So that will wrap up the video today, guys. Sorry about that. If you have been enjoying the content so far, I really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos, you know when I go live. Again, 45, maybe even an hour minutes before lock, since we have 7 games. Make sure to check out the live stream, guys, as well as follow me on Twitter. Very important. I'll retweet all relevant information and give my thoughts when we do get information on starters and minutes and stuff like that. So thanks again. I hope you guys all have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow in the live stream.